Today we're going to talk about musculoskeletal infections. These are conditions that directly affect bones and joints, and they can be very serious if not recognized and treated promptly. The two main types we'll focus on are osteomyelitis and septic arthritis. Let's start with osteomyelitis. This is an infection of the bone that causes inflammation, tissue death, and sometimes the formation of new bone. There are three main ways it develops. The first is hematogenous spread, where the infection travels through the bloodstream. The second is contiguous spread, which happens when the bone is exposed during trauma, surgery, or open fractures. The third type is osteomyelitis with vascular insufficiency, which we see most often in patients with diabetes or peripheral vascular disease, especially in the feet. People at highest risk include older adults, patients with diabetes or rheumatoid arthritis, those on long-term corticosteroids or immunosuppressants, people with poor nutrition, and individuals who use intravenous drugs. Pathophysiologically, the most common culprit is Staphylococcus aureus, including MRSA. Other bacteria like streptococci, enterococci, and Pseudomonas can also cause bone infections. The process usually begins with inflammation and swelling in the bone, followed by blood vessel blockage and tissue death. An abscess forms containing dead bone, called a sequestrum. The body tries to wall it off by building new bone around it, called an involucrum. This may make it look like healing is occurring, but the dead bone remains infected and can flare up again, leading to chronic osteomyelitis. The clinical presentation depends on the type. When infection spreads through the blood, the onset is sudden with fever, chills, rapid heart rate, and malaise. The local area becomes painful, swollen, warm, and tender. Patients often describe the pain as constant and pulsating, worse with movement. Chronic cases may present with draining sinus tracts and persistent low-grade symptoms. In patients with diabetes, osteomyelitis may present as a non-healing foot ulcer or fracture. Diagnosis involves imaging and labs. Early X-rays show soft tissue swelling, while later films reveal bone necrosis and periosteal elevation. MRI and bone scans are very useful for early detection. Lab work may reveal elevated white blood cell counts and an increased ESR. In chronic cases, X-rays often show irregular cavities or thickened bone, while lab findings may look relatively normal except for anemia. Bone biopsy is the most reliable diagnostic tool. Prevention is critical. Elective orthopedic surgeries should be postponed if the patient has any active infection. Prophylactic antibiotics are used around the time of surgery. Catheters and drains should be removed as soon as possible, and strict aseptic wound care is essential. Management begins with supportive care such as good nutrition, hydration, and immobilization of the affected area to prevent fracture. Antibiotic therapy is aggressive, lasting 6 to 12 weeks, often beginning intravenously before transitioning to oral medication. If antibiotics aren't enough, surgery is required to remove infected and necrotic bone. This may involve debridement, bone grafts, or muscle flaps to fill large cavities. In some cases, original orthopedic hardware must be removed. From a nursing perspective, our role is central. We assess risk factors, monitor for pain, swelling, and drainage, and evaluate the patient's functional status. We immobilize the affected limb with splints, handle it gently, and keep it elevated to reduce swelling and discomfort. Pain is treated with analgesics and comfort measures. We monitor IV access closely, since long-term antibiotics can cause phlebitis or infiltration. Patients need teaching about their condition, especially about the importance of completing their antibiotics and maintaining aseptic wound care. Transitional care or home health support may be needed, since therapy can be lengthy and complex. Now let's move on to septic arthritis. This is an infection inside a joint space. It can develop from bloodstream spread or direct entry from trauma, injections, or surgery. Those most at risk are older adults, especially those over 80, people with diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis, alcoholism, or skin infections, as well as anyone with a history of joint replacement or intravenous drug use. The most common cause is Staphylococcus aureus, followed by streptococci. In younger patients, gonorrhea can be a cause, and in IV drug users, Pseudomonas is common. The knee is the most frequently affected joint, followed by the hip. Usually, only one joint is involved, but up to 20% of cases are polyarticular, which carries a much higher mortality rate. Patients typically present with a warm, swollen, and painful joint that has reduced range of motion. Fever, chills, and elevated white blood cells may be present, but fever is less common in older adults. Diagnosis is made through aspiration of the synovial fluid, which is then examined and cultured. Imaging such as CT or MRI can reveal joint damage, while radioisotope scans can help localize the infection. Management requires immediate treatment. Broad-spectrum IV antibiotics are started right away, then adjusted once cultures identify the specific organism. The infected joint is aspirated repeatedly until the fluid is sterile. Sometimes arthroscopy or arthrotomy is needed to drain the joint and remove dead tissue. The affected joint is immobilized in a functional position with a splint for comfort, and analgesics are prescribed. Once pain is controlled, progressive range of motion exercises are encouraged to restore mobility. Nursing management includes patient and family education. We explain the importance of completing the antibiotic course, supporting and immobilizing the joint as prescribed, inspecting skin under splints, and adhering to weight-bearing and activity restrictions. We also teach patients to recognize the signs of recurrence, such as new swelling, fever, pain, or drainage, and to report these immediately. In summary, osteomyelitis is a bone infection that often becomes chronic if not treated aggressively, while septic arthritis is a joint infection that can rapidly destroy cartilage and cause sepsis if untreated. Both require quick recognition, prompt medical and nursing management, and strong patient education to prevent complications and preserve function.